Okay, let's do this. The UN Secretary General has declared gender equality as the unfinished business of our time, certainly something we agreed with at the 19th, urging everyone to invest in women and girls for what he says will build a better world for us all. At the current rate of investment, it will take another 300 years for the world to reach gender equality in law and practice. 300 years. We don't have time to wait. Speeding up progress on this issue is one that is deeply personal for our next guests. So 4 years ago, Doug Emhoff and his wife, Kamala Harris, co-wrote a whole new chapter in US political history when she became our nation's first woman vice president, and he became the first ever second gentleman. Ever since he assumed that role, Emhoff has traveled to 37 states and 4 countries, detailing the Biden administration's efforts on everything from job creation to healthcare. But it is ensuring that true equality is achieved for women and girls worldwide that has been a major focus for the second gentleman. He's made it his mission to bring together world leaders, as well as everyday citizens, to talk through challenges and identify solutions that will empower current and future generations. And for Mickey Guyton, female empowerment has been at the heart of a trailblazing country music career. In 2021, she became the first Black woman solo artist to be nominated for a Grammy in country music. Yeah, we can clap for that, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a female entrepreneur in the music industry, the now 4-time Grammy-nominated superstar has experienced firsthand many of the challenges that women face in the workforce. So please join me in welcoming the second gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff, and Mickey Guyton.
Hi, guys.
Okay, well, let's begin. Mr. Second Gentleman, I'm gonna start with you. About a year and a half into your tenure as second gentleman, you told one of my colleagues at the 19th, I found where I can really make a difference is just trying to use my voice to lift women in leadership up. Why is this important to you? And what's been the reaction to how you've chosen to use your voice and your platform in this historic role?
Well, thanks, Errin. Thanks for having us. This is great. Look, I'm the first man to ever be in this role, married to the first woman ever to be vice president. So we start there. So, I had a very satisfying career as an entertainment lawyer in Hollywood. Great training to be second gentleman, by the way. And I loved it. I miss it. But I took a step back from that gladly and without bitterness, without saltiness, to make sure that I could support the first woman in that role. And then when you realize you have one of these microphones, you gotta be responsible about how you use it. And so to be the first man in this role, married to the first woman, you have no choice but to speak up and speak out and talk about these issues that we know are not fair. Pay equity, child care, family leave, reproductive freedom. Let me just mention what's going on right now. This Dobbs decision has created a crisis, a Donald Trump-created crisis in this country. Look at what's happening in Arizona. Yes, it looks like begrudgingly the state legislature is changing it, but what are they changing it to? It's still a ban. It is still a ban with no exceptions for rape or incest. That is Donald Trump's America. My wife, the vice president, is in Florida today. Yep. First day of a 6-week ban. This is what is going on. So I am speaking out loudly on all of these issues, including this horrific crisis caused by Donald Trump with the Dobbs decision.
Yeah, and showing us that women's issues can be everybody's issues if everybody cares about them and everybody talks about them. Mickey, I want to come to you. To mark International Women's Day this year, you released a new song. I love the song called Woman, one that you say honors how women persevere through pain, setbacks, and doubt. You've talked openly about how you faced all three of those things, frankly, as you have navigated the country music industry. How have gender as well as race really influenced your journey?
Well, first of all, I brought receipts for stats for everybody. But as a black woman pursuing country music, what people don't understand is country music is not only very hard to pursue as a black woman, it is almost equally as hard to pursue as a white woman. And I will tell you the stats right now, why it's been so important for me to speak about this. So country radio really relies on airplay, and 8.64% of the airplay for women is songs by white women, and 0.24% for black women, almost entirely just Beyonce's song, Texas Hold'em. So that alone should tell you why I am so passionate about gender equality in country music.
Yeah, I mean, how have fellow artists and fans really responded to your efforts to make change, right? To make country music a more inclusive space for women and for people of color?
Yes. You know, speaking out, it comes with a price.
Yeah.
My mental health alone has been really, really difficult, but it's so important, I think, in the industry entirely. People are really, really passionate about this. You know, if you have a daughter alone, this should make you so passionate about this issue. If you have a mother, if you have a sister, a grandma, this is why it's so important. And the industry, as much as we're trying, we still have a very, very long way to go.
Yeah, such a good point you're making. You don't have to be a country music star to really care about this and try to do something about making so many spaces in our society more equal and more welcoming. Mr. Second Gentleman, you have said to me that you want your legacy to be more Kamala Harris's. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, we were talking about this backstage, kind of picking up on what you were saying, Mickey, how hard it is. And a lot of people think breaking barriers means you just start from here, la-di-da, and then all of a sudden you get to where you got to. And I've heard Kamala talk about this too, where, you know, when you break barriers, it means breaking. And when you break things, sometimes you get cut. And when you get cut, sometimes you bleed. But I know you would say this, and I know Kamala Harris would say this, Errin would say this. It's worth it. Yeah. It's worth doing it to be able to be in those positions, to set an example. So when I say I want more Kamala Harris's, I want more of you too as well, because we need more women in positions of power. We need more women in leadership, not just in government, but I come from the business world. I was talking to some of the executives here backstage. We need more women in business leadership, more women in military leadership, more women in educational leadership. You name it, we need more. And it's not that some guy is going to then miss out. It's not an either or. And some people think that way, like it's binary. It's not. It's good for everyone. So when you lift up women, you lift up the economy. When women succeed, we all succeed. And this is, saying I want more Kamala Harris's is just shorthand for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it is certainly worth it to break barriers, but the work that both of you are doing is about getting us to a day where we don't have to do that anymore. Mickey, I want to come back to you because in a recent op-ed for the Grammys, one writer declared 2024 is the year of women in country music. Will they finally have their moment? Do you agree with that statement? In your opinion, what is the number one thing that needs to happen by the end of this year for those words to become a reality?
The answer is no. I
had a
read
feeling.
you guys those stats. If you want me to read them again, I've got them. But we have a very, very, very long way to go. And in every workplace that we are in, like, women equality is so important no matter where you are. And I'm not sure what the answer is. I think one thing that we can do is be intentional with our consumerism and show corporations the monetary value in not only female work, black women and Black art. We need to be intentional with our consumerism, because we can sit here on all these panels all day long and have these discussions and say what we wish we could do, but it really does start with us. Like, we can't rely on anybody else but us to support these artists, to stream these artists, to show up to their shows, to uplift women in your workplace that are trying to climb the ladder in their own respective professions. I think it's collectively, it has to start with you first.
Yeah, action and not just,
Yes.
voicing support. Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, you guys, but I want to close this out with a little fun rapid fire, if that's okay.
All right.
Okay? Okay, so Mr. Second Gentleman, your wife is the first female vice president. As you have mentioned, you are the first second gentleman. Mickey, you were the first Black woman solo artist to earn a Grammy nomination in a country category, so I want to hear about some of your firsts.
Oh.
All right, Mickey, first CD you ever bought?
I think it was Monica. Right? That was a good one. That was a good one.
Listen, that was a good time. Yes.
That one.
Yes. All right. What about you,
We're gonna
Mr.
get
Second
an
Gentleman?
impromptu performance here.
What about you?
They didn't have CDs when I bought my first one.
Vinyl?
So
When they did come out,
they
the
had
CD
these
you
things
bought.
called like vinyl, and since it was probably the Clash or Elvis Costello.
Listen, where's Clash Hive? Exactly. See,
it
you're
was
not
definitely
alone.
something punk rock related.
Mickey, do you remember your first time on stage? Like where were you?
Definitely church. If you're from the South, your first stage is definitely in the choir at church.
Yeah. One of the songs you sang when you were on that stage back in church when you were in Texas.
Probably His Eyes on the Sparrow.
Yeah.
I hear, like,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes.
All right, we're about to put. Mickey,
you're
we might get a performance out of you
gonna
before we
sing,
get
right?
out of here. I don't know. Mr. Second Gentleman, what's the first book you remember that made an impact on you?
So I was thinking about that. It's probably Moby Dick, because I remember in middle school getting that assigned, and it was incomprehensible to me. And I still have a copy of it on my nightstand. I'm still wrestling with that book, and there's so much in there. There's so much in there that you can relate to any big problem that's going on in your life. So I'd have to say that one.
Wow, Moby Dick prepared you to be second gentleman, maybe. In a
Yeah,
way.
who
We're
knew?
learning something
Who
here
knew?
today, people. Didn't know that. Mickey, what about you? First book that made an impact on you?
The first book, can I say two?
I mean, yes.
I really loved reading The Color Purple.
Yes.
And Black Like Me, written by John Howard Griffin. It actually inspired me to write a song called Black Like Me. And it was about a white man named John Howard Griffin who, during the civil rights movement, darkened his skin through radiation to look like a black man and went to the South to see what it was like to be a black man during the civil rights movement.
And last one to both of you. What is the first step that you think that men should take to help build a more gender equal world?
I'll start. It is essential for white men specifically to start speaking and saying the things that so many of us have been saying. Like, when you speak, people will listen so much more. And it's time for you to stand up and say something. And say something to each other.
Well, before you answer, Mr. Second Gentleman, I'm wondering, for the white men that Mickey is challenging to do that, how do they take that first step? What's the first, just one thing they can do to start using their voice in the way that you have been using your voice and the platform that you have? You don't have to be second gentleman to do that, right? Everybody can do that right now. How do they start? What do they need to do?
And show that that this is not a safe space for you. Like a safe space for your bigotry and your misogyny, that you have to show people behind closed doors that may not think like you that this is not a safe space to say and think the things that you may be speaking behind closed doors.
My turn?
Yep.
So I've spoken a lot about this. I think one of the things I'm doing is doing it.
Yes.
So I'm trying to speak out very loudly on issues that men traditionally haven't. So again, we talked about gender equity, family leave, childcare. We talked about DOBS. We talked about pay equity, retention in the work. There's so many things that a guy saying matters. But the other thing I say a lot too publicly is don't just say you're being supportive. Be supportive. Because I get a lot of nods in the audience whenever I say this, because I know a lot of times somebody might think in their head that they're being supportive, but they're not actually doing the things that are required to be supportive. So that's speaking out and doing tangible activities that actually are supportive, not just words, but deeds.
Yeah, and calling out when others are being misogynistic.
And if you're in those closed doors, like, don't do it. It's not appropriate, and call it out when it happens, because again, we've got to be honest. And also listen, too. Listening, we talk about all the time. Now that I've been in this position, there's a lot of people who are good at talking and talking and talking, but I think one of the great skills of a lawyer is being able to listen and understand, like, what is required in that moment. And I think this is one of those conversations where people just need to listen to what's coming back at them, and really try to meet that moment and take action to help. Because like I said earlier, when we do this, one, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's not fair that women in so many of these areas, DOBS and others, are just treated less than. Yeah. It's just less than, and we're all supposed to be equal here. And so we have to take actions to make sure we really are equal, that those aren't just empty words, that we bring that into reality. So we all have to do that.
Yeah, well, thank you both so much. Listening, speaking, and acting, I mean, that is how we are going to get to gender equality and how we can be global citizens. What it means to be a global citizen, right, is to be somebody that is championing gender equality. So thank you both so much for your work in that area, and thank you all so much